Palace records have unleashed a storm that has shaken the royal family to its very core, dragging Kate Middleton as lazy and incompetent, while placing Meghan Markle, now Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, in the spotlight as the embodiment of commitment, resilience, and determination. What was once whispered quietly in the corridors of royal watchers has now spilled into the open, undeniable, measurable, and backed by the hard numbers of official engagements during pregnancy. Meghan Sussex, pregnant with Prince Archie, managed to complete more than 159 official engagements during that time, a staggering workload that astonished both supporters and critics alike, demonstrating that even while carrying her first child, she was ready to prove her worth, ready to give every ounce of energy to her role, and committed to representing the monarchy on the world stage. In comparison, the records show Kate, Princess of Wales, struggling to complete even 71 engagements across all 3 of her pregnancies combined. The gap is not small. It is monumental, an indictment of a narrative that has for years painted Kate as a dutiful royal, while simultaneously casting Meghan as the disruptive outsider. The palace books tell a different story, a story that refuses to be erased by spin, and one that exposes the uncomfortable truth about effort, expectation, and reality within the House of Windsor. The revelation has ignited a wave of debate across Britain and beyond. For many, it is a vindication of Meghan's long battle with media hostility and palace resistance, a battle in which she was smeared daily, where her very identity was weaponized against her, and where the constant barrage of negativity could have broken her spirit. And yet, she persevered. She rose above the noise. She showed up. Day after day, event after event, speech after speech, Meghan proved that she was committed to her role regardless of the personal toll. The palace records, now out in the open, underscore that truth in black and white. They are more than statistics. They are a record of character. They show Meghan working relentlessly, even in the most challenging months of pregnancy, when exhaustion, nausea, and strain are at their highest. It was a demonstration of service that even her harshest detractors cannot deny. By contrast, Kate's record now looks damning. For years, the press painted her as the perfect royal wife, the model princess, the future queen consort who never put a foot wrong. But perfection in photo opportunities is one thing, dedication to duty is another. Palace figures reveal that while Kate was praised for simply showing up occasionally, her actual commitment to engagements during pregnancy pales in comparison to Meghan's. Across 3 separate pregnancies, she managed only 71 total engagements, less than half of Meghan's workload in a single pregnancy. For critics, the numbers validate what they have long argued. Kate has been protected by a media machine that has excused her lack of work ethic, covering it with glowing headlines about her fashion, her smile, or her quiet dignity, while shielding her from scrutiny. The narrative of Kate as hard-working collapses under the weight of these figures. What makes the revelation even more striking is how the British press, particularly the Daily Mail, has reacted. Rather than confront the glaring discrepancy between Kate and Meghan, the Daily Mail has pivoted, attempting to push a story about Meghan's identity victory, acknowledging her resilience but refusing to connect it to Kate's failings. It is a carefully constructed editorial choice, one that speaks volumes about the double standard that has long existed in media coverage of the 2 women. Meghan's efforts are reframed as personal triumph, not institutional critique, while Kate is spared the uncomfortable truth of being called out for doing less. But readers are not blind. Social media erupted with frustration, pointing out that the same newspaper that demonized Meghan for every move she made is now reluctant to confront Kate's record of underperformance. The silence is deafening, and it only amplifies Meghan's victory. The impact of this revelation goes beyond numbers. It reshapes the story of Meghan's time in the royal family, proving that despite the endless attacks on her character, she gave the role everything she had. She did not coast on privilege. She did not take the easy road. She carried the weight of expectations, the weight of prejudice, and the weight of pregnancy all at once, and still showed up 159 times. Each of those engagements is now evidence of commitment, each one a rebuttal to those who claimed she was unwilling to adapt. In stark contrast, Kate's numbers reveal a life cushioned by privilege and shielded from criticism, where doing less was enough because the press would sell it as more. For Meghan's supporters, this is not just a vindication. It is a victory lap. It is proof that their faith in her resilience was not misplaced. For Kate, however, it is a dragging of the highest order, one that will follow her as the monarchy faces a future without the protective aura that once shielded her. For years, the palace and the media worked hand in glove to build the myth of Kate as tireless and committed, a woman silently serving the crown with grace. The records destroy that myth. They show a woman who, despite 3 pregnancies, failed to match the workload of Meghan in one, exposing the uncomfortable truth that effort was not equally demanded nor equally celebrated. The backlash has been swift. Commentators have accused the palace of burying these records for years to protect Kate's reputation. Others argue that Meghan's numbers are only now being highlighted because her departure from royal duties has made it impossible to suppress the facts any longer. Whatever the reason, the timing is devastating for Kate. As the Princess of Wales attempts to step into a more prominent role alongside Prince William, her credibility is being shredded by comparisons that no amount of positive press can erase. The question is no longer about whether Meghan worked hard, it is about why Kate did not, and why the media pretended otherwise. The Daily Mail's attempt to spin the story into a celebration of Meghan's identity, rather than a condemnation of Kate's underperformance, is a masterclass in deflection, but it is not working. Online forums, podcasts, and social media commentators are dissecting the numbers, pointing out the hypocrisy of years of glowing headlines about Kate's supposed dedication. The double standard is too glaring to ignore. For many, this is yet another example of how the British press has functioned less as a watchdog and more as a palace propaganda arm, willing to shield one woman while vilifying another based on race, class, and conformity. Meghan's numbers are not just a victory. They are an indictment of an entire system. And so, as the debate rages on, the palace finds itself caught in a storm of its own making. The records cannot be denied, the comparisons cannot be spun away, and the reality cannot be rewritten. Meghan's 159 engagements during pregnancy stand as a towering achievement, a testament to her resilience and commitment in the face of hostility. Kate's 71 across 3 pregnancies stand as a stark reminder that image and substance are not the same, and that for too long, the palace and its media allies have chosen image over truth. The public is beginning to see the difference, and once seen, it cannot be unseen. This is Meghan's victory, not just over the palace machinery that tried to crush her, but over the narrative that painted her as unworthy. The numbers show she outworked, outshone, and outlasted the smear campaigns. Kate, by contrast, is left exposed as lazy and incompetent, her reputation now defined less by the gowns and smiles that once captivated the tabloids, and more by the undeniable fact that when it came to duty, she simply did less. The palace records will forever be remembered as the receipts that shifted the conversation, the proof that could not be buried, and the moment Meghan's victory over her critics was cemented. The fallout from the palace records has been seismic, shaking even those who once believed Kate Middleton's crafted image of dutiful silence and serene composure. Suddenly, silence no longer reads as dignity, it reads as complacency, or worse, complicity. For years, the press machine painted her as a devoted royal wife who never complained, who embodied the quiet endurance of monarchy. But what is endurance if it is not backed by effort? What is duty if the numbers show it was Meghan who truly carried the load? These are the questions now reverberating across British talk shows, podcasts, and social media feeds, creating a storm the palace cannot easily contain. Kate has been given a pass her entire royal life, argues writer and activist Candice Harris on a viral Sky News segment. When she did 1 or 2 events, the media gushed about how stunning she looked, about how regal she was. Meghan did triple or quadruple the work, and the headlines were about whether she made staff cry or whether she was too ambitious. That double standard is no longer speculation. It's written in the record. The double standard extends beyond the palace walls and into the media's portrayal of motherhood. When Kate was seen resting during her pregnancies, she was described as sensible and caring for the royal baby. When Meghan rested briefly during one of her many engagements, the press spun it as diva behaviour. One headline at the time even sneered, "Meghan takes a break, staff left waiting." That article now looks absurd in light of the total workload she bore. They called her lazy while she was outworking everyone, says royal correspondent Marcus Hill. It's beyond hypocrisy. It's an orchestrated campaign. The revelation has also sparked historical re-evaluations of the way royal women's work has been measured. Queen Elizabeth II, even while pregnant, was shielded from the same level of engagements modern royals face, and yet she was consistently praised for her commitment. Princess Diana, while pregnant, was applauded for continuing with visits to hospitals and charities, even if they were fewer in number. The monarchy has always controlled the narrative of duty, explains historian Eleanor Bryce. When it suited them, they praised women for doing a little. When it didn't, they criticised them for doing a lot. Meghan's numbers are so high that they force us to confront how skewed the system has been. For Meghan's supporters, these palace records feel like long-awaited receipts in a battle of narratives. In online forums dedicated to the Sussexes, users celebrated with posts like, "The truth was always going to come out. Meghan worked. Kate coasted. Now the world knows." Others framed it as a turning point in the broader conversation about women of colour in elite spaces. "This is about more than just Meghan and Kate," posted one widely shared Instagram caption. "This is about how a black woman was held to impossible standards and still exceeded them, while a white woman did the bare minimum and was praised. That's why Meghan's victory is so powerful." Kate's defenders have scrambled to counter the narrative. Some argue that her pregnancies were complicated, pointing to her struggles with hyperemesis gravidarum, a severe form of morning sickness. While that medical condition is real and serious, critics note that the palace never clarified how it affected her day-to-day workload across all 3 pregnancies, and more importantly, that Meghan herself suffered from intense media stress that arguably compounded her physical strain. No one denies that Kate was unwell at times, notes journalist Sarah Kendricks. But the issue is that the media used those illnesses to excuse a general lack of engagement, while simultaneously weaponizing every small detail against Meghan. Fairness was never in play. The discrepancy has also reignited debates over taxpayer money. Royal engagements are often cited as justification for the funding the monarchy receives from the sovereign grant, funded by the public. Now, critics are asking if Meghan, during a brief period, carried out more engagements than Kate managed across 3 pregnancies, who truly earned the taxpayers' respect? "It is astonishing," says Member of Parliament Clive Atwood, "that the very woman who was vilified endlessly was doing the work, while the one praised endlessly was doing less. This should raise serious questions about the value we're getting for the money spent on the monarchy." The monarchy, already facing dwindling public support among younger generations, may find this narrative particularly damaging. The media spin, however, refuses to die. The Daily Mail and other tabloids continue to avoid directly naming Kate as underperforming. Instead, they lean heavily into Meghan's triumph of resilience, framing her achievement as personal rather than institutional. "It's almost comical," laughs columnist Rachel Osey. "They can't bring themselves to say Kate was lazy, so they keep dancing around it. But by avoiding it, they're making it more obvious. Indeed, the omission has become a story in itself." On Twitter, a screenshot of a Daily Mail headline about Meghan's identity victory went viral with the caption, "They'd rather twist words than admit the truth about Kate. Pathetic." Inside palace corridors, the tension is said to be palpable. Anonymous insiders whisper that William is furious at the numbers being made public, believing it undermines Kate's image at a time when she is supposed to be stepping into a leadership role as future queen. They know this is damaging, one source told an online outlet. Kate's brand has always been about quiet, steady service. If people start questioning whether that service was even real, the whole thing collapses. William's own numbers, though stronger, are also being compared to Meghan's, a comparison he is reportedly eager to avoid. After all, if Meghan outperformed Kate so significantly during pregnancy, what does that say about the royal hierarchy itself? Across the Atlantic, the response has been different. American media outlets have seized on the story as proof of what Meghan has been saying all along, that she was treated unfairly, that the media twisted reality, and that she gave everything she could. It's vindication, declared the Washington Post. The palace records show that Meghan was not only committed but exemplary, while her sister-in-law was excused for doing far less. The contrast speaks volumes about bias, privilege, and institutional protection. The numbers have also taken on symbolic weight. They are not just a tally of events, they represent the truth Meghan was denied during her time as a working royal. When people say history will judge, this is what they mean, says Dr. Helena Rowe. The headlines fade, the gossip fades, but the records remain. And the records say Meghan worked harder than Kate, period. For supporters of Meghan, this is the ultimate rebuttal to years of toxic tabloid attacks. For critics of Kate, it is confirmation that the palace and press created a princess of illusion rather than substance. The debate has even reached younger generations, many of whom had grown disillusioned with the monarchy long before this revelation. TikTok videos comparing Meghan's 159 engagements to Kate's 71 have racked up millions of views, often set to dramatic soundtracks and captions like, "When they called her lazy, but she was carrying the monarchy on her back." Younger audiences, less invested in tradition and more attuned to fairness, have embraced these comparisons as proof that the monarchy's golden image is built on spin rather than truth. As the story grows, Meghan's figure of 159 engagements has become almost mythical, a shorthand for resilience against adversity. Supporters share photos of her glowing in Morocco, of her delivering a speech in London, of her walking through markets, shaking hands with strangers, all while carrying Archie. She was radiant, says charity worker Amina Lagari, who hosted Meghan at an event during that pregnancy. You would never know she was under that much pressure. She asked questions, she listened, she cared, she was present, fully present. Such testimonies add a human face to the numbers, reminding the public that behind every tally was a day of effort, of physical strain, of emotional endurance. Kate's engagements, by contrast, often appear ceremonial and brief. Ribbon cuttings, photo calls, short appearances where the emphasis was on wardrobe rather than substance. It's not that Kate never tried, says journalist Marcus Hill, but the difference in scale and seriousness is undeniable. Meghan was rolling up her sleeves. Kate was being photographed in gowns. Both roles were celebrated very differently, and now people are asking why. The palace may attempt damage control, but the damage has already been done. The numbers are out, the comparisons are being made, the hypocrisy has been exposed. Meghan, once branded as the problem, has emerged in the records as the example of commitment. Kate, once celebrated as the perfect princess, has emerged as the emblem of privilege without substance. And the monarchy, once trusted to embody duty, has been exposed for shielding one woman while smearing another. To all my curious Sussex family, thank you all for watching, and do not forget to subscribe, like and put a comment. Bye-bye. See you then in our next episode.